3 days before the wedding, I accidentally triggered the hidden door in my fiancé Ethan's study. The sight that greeted me would haunt me forever. Dozens of square feet were crammed with another woman's photographs and belongings. Chaotic yet meticulously organized. Inside a velvet box worth millions rested a withered grass ring labeled, 8 Luna made me my first ring. A decade-old evening gown hung pressed nearby, 18 Luna's debut gala dress. Thousands of curated objects filled the space, each tagged with loving care. At the center lay a yellowed letter bearing a single line, 23 Luna married. My heart died with her. My fingers traced tear stains still damp on the stationery as my legs gave out. The man I'd loved for 8 years was nothing but an empty shell. If this was his truth, I'd set them free. Stumbling from the study, I dialed my father. Dad. I'll accept Grandpa's arranged marriage. After stunned silence came relieved laughter. Thank God. That Carter boy's too frigid for happiness. Look at Ian, now there's a man who actually breathes. The call ended with his cheerful rambling as I stared at the gaping secret room. For 8 years, Ethan never let me spend the night. My toothbrush, slippers, towels, all disposable. Discarded after each visit like me. Early on I'd wept. Protested. Only to be met with clinical detachment. Vivian. My cleanliness standards don't negate my feelings. Must we both suffer? I'd agonized over a million reasons, propriety? Waiting for marriage? My own inadequacies? Never suspecting this shrine to another. Now I understood why he insisted on marrying in this decaying mansion so his ghost bride could haunt our marriage bed. The letter's fresh tears merged with memories of Ethan weeping here last night. Bile rose as I retched violently in the bathroom. His call came as I gasped over the sink. Voice uncharacteristically bright. Vivian. Reschedule your dress fitting. My childhood friend Luna's returning tonight. We're hosting welcome drinks. 8 years. Hearing that name detonated in my skull. When I didn't respond, his impatience sharpened. Vivian? Take me. For some inexplicable reason, I answered Ethan's call. He sounded stunned through the receiver. You never liked these kinds of gatherings before. I took a deep breath. Ethan. Send me the address. The line went silent for an eternity. He clearly didn't want me there but couldn't devise a proper refusal. Finally, a soft feminine voice floated through the phone. Ethan. Don't be like this. Let her come. The more the merrier. The call disconnected abruptly. 2 seconds later, Ethan's text arrived with a pin drop location followed by, come if you must. Don't cause trouble. My fingers dug into my palm as I stared at the glowing screen. The Carter estate. The place he'd refused to take me for 8 years. Where his parents had first met. 20 years ago. His father built that estate as a romantic gift for his mother. Never opening it to outsiders. Our social circle had mythologized it. Claiming the next time those gates opened would be for Ethan's wedding. How laughable they'd overestimated my importance. I'd merely mentioned visiting once. And Ethan had exploded. My parents' love story isn't some tourist attraction. Know your place. Yet now he'd brought her there for her homecoming party. My knuckles whitened around the phone. That voice on the line, she'd called him Ethan. Needles pierced my chest as realization struck. During our rare intimate moments, he'd always closed his eyes, demanding I say his full name. I thought he liked it. But afterward, using that name only earned me icy glares. Half an hour later, his Porsche idled in the driveway. Through the cracked window, I heard his rich laughter, a sound that had never graced my presence in 8 years. As I approached, the passenger seat silhouette became clear. I turned toward the back when that honeyed voice stopped me. You must be Vivian. Sorry for taking your spot. I'll move. The door cracked open. But Ethan's hand shot out to stop her. Stay put. Luna. His gaze swung to me. Frost crystallizing in those hazel eyes. You. Back seat. The engine purred to life as he flashed Luna a tender smile she didn't earn. Something vice-like crushed my ribs as I yanked open the rear door. A ball of fur launched at me, a trembling kitten wedged between designer handbags. The cat hissed warily at me. Sorry. Vivian. She's just skittish around strangers. But she doesn't bite. Ethan said casually, pulling out a freeze-dried treat from beside him. Daddy's got a treat for you. Don't be scared. Lucy. The kitten nuzzled Ethan's hand affectionately before eating the treat and settling down. This scene struck me like lightning. Ethan was deathly allergic to cats. He'd often told me how much he despised their insufferable arrogance. Yet here he was, gazing at Lucy with more tenderness than he'd ever shown me. Her cat shared part of her name, Lucy, derived from Luna. Suddenly my 8 years of devotion felt like a pathetic joke. The mischievous kitten began clawing at the leather seats after her snack. When Luna heard the commotion, she patted Ethan's shoulder. Ethan. Look. Your daughter's rebellious phase reminds me so much of you. He turned with that devastating smile, the same car he'd berated me over 6 months ago when my heel barely grazed its imported Italian upholstery. Can't you watch where you're stepping? He'd snapped. Now I stared at my bare feet in the shredded leather. Hot tears splashing onto my knees. Even his $1 million car mattered less than Luna's pet. My phone buzzed with Dad's caller ID. Vivian. He said after I finally answered. Ian's overjoyed you agreed to the marriage. The Youngs want the wedding in 3 days. Your mother would've. Fine. I cut him off before my voice cracked. Ethan's eyes found mine in the rearview mirror. 3 days for what? Sounded like your father. Wedding details. You misheard. The cheerful atmosphere froze. Luna turned toward her window. Profile trembling. Ethan slammed the brakes, whirling on me with volcanic fury. Must you flaunt this sham marriage everywhere? Vivian? It's a business transaction. Not some fairy tale. His anger dissolved as Luna faced him. Their locked gaze spoke volumes of decade-old longing. When she finally turned to me, her blessing sounded like a death sentence. I wish you both happiness. Tears glistened in Ethan's eyes as he reached for Luna's hand. I watched his thumb caress her engagement ring finger, the same finger where my own temporary band would rest in 72 hours. The diamond solitaire he'd given her years ago still outshone my 3-carat monstrosity. What a pair of star-crossed lovers. Soon. Very soon. I'll return this half-alive man to her. I slowly lifted my gaze to Luna. Thank you. I said. The moment the words left my lips, Ethan slammed the brakes again. Losing my balance, I crashed into the front seat as the world spun violently. Ethan's icy voice cut through my dizziness. Vivian. No one thinks you're mute when silent. The rest of the ride passed in suffocating quiet. Only upon exiting did I notice blood trickling down my forehead from the collision. My entire being felt numb. The pain forgotten until now. Ethan was too busy helping Luna and Lucy out of the car to notice the crimson streak staining my face. I need the restroom. I'll catch up. I called out, already walking away without waiting for acknowledgement. In the bathroom mirror, I discovered the gash half a finger long and 2 centimeters deep. After applying antiseptic and covering it with a band-aid, I strategically let my hair fall across the injured side. This camouflage worked well enough that when I entered the private room, Ethan remained oblivious as he cozied up with Luna on the velvet couch. Their friend teased. Luna. Did you know Ethan dated that woman for 8 years just because she could make stuffed chili peppers tasting exactly like yours? The wine glass slipped from my fingers, shattering on the marble floor. 8 years. Stuffed chili peppers, the only dish Ethan ever requested during my visits to Carter Estate. The sole occasion his eyes would soften while looking at me. I'd foolishly believed my culinary skill bound him to me, never realizing every shred of kindness he'd shown me these years was stolen from another woman's shadow. The crash silenced the room. The joking friend paled upon recognizing me. Luna. Don't mind us. Just drunken rambling. He urgently nudged Ethan. Vivian's hurt. Check on her. Ethan kept his arm firmly around Luna's waist, his alcohol-flushed face turning toward me. Without warning, he flung his entire drink at me. Bourbon stung my exposed wound as the band-aid slid off. Vivian. He roared. I told you to behave if you came. What's with this pathetic act? Who are you trying to guilt-trip with that disheveled look? The friend tugged Ethan's sleeve. She's actually injured. Apologize. Dead silence engulfed the room until Luna began dabbing whiskey from Ethan's wrist. Ethan. Maybe you should. Her sentence ended with the violent crash of a kicked-over liquor cabinet. His eyes bloodshot. He jabbed a finger at me and snarled. Get out. The kitten beside him nervously nuzzled against Ethan's pant leg at his outburst. Sensing its distress, he scooped Lucy into his arms, stroking her fur while barking into his phone. Send someone up to escort the guest out. My legs turned to lead as I stumbled toward the exit. When the door closed behind me, I caught Ethan swallowing allergy pills before Luna leaned in to kiss him. I raced home and immediately locked myself in the shower, scrubbing frantically at the lingering scents. Cat dander. Car leather. Stale banquet hall air, all of it making my skin crawl. Sleep never came. At dawn, Luna updated her social media with live photos showing her hand caressing a man's bare back. A decade. And I never lost you after all. Over 2,000 days and nights. I'd never touched Ethan like that. Not for lack of trying. But every attempt earned only cold detachment. His morning call came laced with smug satisfaction. Vivian. I was drunk last night. Don't take it to heart. We'll need your help with wedding preparations these coming days. Luna's visit is short, I should show her proper hospitality. Of course. I laughed. I'll make sure it's unforgettable. Ethan paused. Then chuckled. You've always been so sensible. No wonder my parents adore you. Yes. Clearly his parents were the only Carter family members who ever did. 2 days before the ceremony, I canceled every vendor and emailed termination notices per our contract. As predicted, Luna-obsessed Ethan never checked his messages. On wedding day, I stared at my boarding pass at the airport for 2 solid hours before dialing him. When he called back, irritation seethed beneath his words. Christ. Vivian. The whole city will crown you Mrs. Carter tonight. Can't you wait 5 fucking minutes? The line went dead before I could speak. He texted moments later, Luna's having a rough day. Keep my parents occupied at the venue, I'll come after comforting her. I laughed aloud at my shoes. Ian had sent me over 100 texts since morning. I forwarded Ethan our mock wedding photo bearing Ian's name and mine. The Carter legacy is yours now. Wishing you both joy. Blocking his number. I boarded the plane without looking back. Somewhere over the ocean. I scrolled through 8 years of chat history with Ethan. His messages were sparse. Flipping through my photo album, every picture of him was a back view I'd captured. 8 years. Yet we never took a single photo together. I'd considered unblocking Ethan countless times. But each time the thought surfaced, I'd dig my nails into my palm until it hurt. Over 2,000 days and nights. I'd loved him so deeply it became part of my marrow. Ripping him away felt like tearing off my own flesh. The agony was real. But temporary pain trumped lifelong suffering. At least my arranged marriage to Ian spared me some guilt toward this familiar stranger. Ian was the youngest grandson of the Young family. My grandfather's sworn brothers. Raised in boundless affection. My father once said he'd been the brightest youth in the city since birth, free-spirited. Shrewd in business. Flawless except for his refusal to date. But I'd lost all faith in men. Ethan's parents had sung similar praises initially, Vivian. Rest assured, our Ethan's only flaw is his aloofness. That single flaw nearly destroyed me. As for the young heir, nearing 30 and unmarried? Likely another trap. Yet fresh from escaping quicksand. I couldn't dwell on it. My parents waited at the airport arrivals. Dad pulled my luggage while Mom whispered. Arm linked with mine. Ian postponed his grandfather's chosen auspicious hour by 60 minutes to accommodate your schedule. Ethan could never have done that. Trust us. Dear, he's good for you. I smiled silently. The banquet hall buzzed with guests. Ian stood out instantly. Unrecognizable from the boy I'd met years prior. His tailored suit accentuated his height. Rolled-up sleeves lending casual ease to the formal setting. He moved through the crowd effortlessly. Radiant smile never fading, Ethan's polar opposite. Ian. Look who's here. His grandfather spotted me first. Ian whirled around. Grin widening. Mrs. Carter arrives without fanfare? He cut through the crowd toward me. Behind us. My parents' muffled laughter at his bold address. I retreated half a step, forcing a smile. The ceremony hasn't started. Regret flooded me instantly. For 8 years, I'd yearned to call Ethan husband like other love-struck girls. My first attempt earned a public scolding. Vivian, I never expected you to be this casual. We haven't even gotten our marriage certificate yet. Why would you address me like that? The icy disappointment from that day still lingers in my memory. Determined not to become another Ethan, I turned to Ian with apologetic eyes. To my surprise, he burst into laughter at my flustered expression, casually patting his grandfather's bald spot. Grandpa, you've got great taste in women. She's absolutely delightful. Ian's casual demeanor towards the formidable patriarch of the young family shocked me. Having witnessed even his father tread carefully around the family patriarch in public, I'd never imagined anyone daring to treat Mr. Young Sr. with such irreverent affection. Yet here was Ian, chuckling like they were frat brothers. Despite the initial shock, his easygoing nature brought unexpected relief, such a stark contrast to the constant vigilance required during my 8 years with Ethan. Our wedding unfolded exactly as society expected, champagne toasts clinking over designer suits, orchid centerpieces towering over perfectly plated meals. When the last relative departed and the ballroom's crystal chandeliers dimmed, I found myself alone with my new husband. The man who'd charmed the crowd all day now leaned against the grand piano, suit jacket slung over his forearm like a waiter's towel. Vivian, he began. All traces of his earlier mirth vanished. Thank you for letting this backup plan come to fruition. I know you don't love me, but rest assured, his voice hardened. I won't repeat Ethan's mistakes. My throat tightened. Of course, the youngest CEO in Young Corporation's history wasn't all dimpled smiles and self-deprecating humor. For 8 years I'd tiptoed around Ethan's mercurial moods, swallowing humiliation after humiliation. I wouldn't play that game again. Rising to meet Ian's unreadable gaze, I countered. Then why agree to this merger? The Smiths may need the Young's shipping lanes, but I could have married any of your cousins. The temperature plummeted. Our synchronized breathing echoed through the cavernous hall, shallow, rapid, like cornered animals. Rage simmered beneath my silk gown. Equal partnership. That's all I'd wanted this time. No groveling. No games. Ian Young. If this is some twisted pity. Wait. His calloused palm hovered near my cheek but didn't touch. What I meant was, whether you ever love me back, his Adam's apple bobbed. I've been yours since we were 16. The vintage Rolex on my wrist ticked loudly. Before I could process this confession, my phone erupted with the shrill ringtone I'd forgotten to change Ethan's mother's special tone. Ian's eyes flickered to the screen. With a wry smile, he retreated towards the terrace. Take your time. I'll be here. Moonlight caught the silver streaks at his temples as he turned away, the only visible crack in his polished facade. 8 years of Sunday brunches with that woman flashed before me, her backhanded compliments about my ambition. The way she'd trace Ethan's jawline while lamenting my sharp cheekbones. My thumb hovered over the block button when Vivian? Mrs. Carter's voice slithered through the receiver, thick with false concern. Darling, you must come immediately. Ethan's at the Carter estate and, well, he's not himself since the wedding. A glass shattered in the background. He keeps calling your name. I hesitated for a moment before answering the call. The voice on the other end sounded anxious. Vivian. What's going on? Today was supposed to be your wedding day with Ethan. He showed up halfway through. And you didn't even appear. Even though you said you wouldn't invite relatives. His father and I waited here all day. Don't you think you owe us an explanation? Her tone turned accusatory. I took a deep breath. Mrs. Carter. Ethan and I have broken up. I texted him before leaving. You should ask him for details. Broken up? Yes. Does your father know about this? Such a major. Mrs. Carter. I interrupted. I'm someone else's wife now. Ethan means nothing to me anymore. Which makes you, well, irrelevant. I'm busy. Goodbye. I hung up before she could respond. How ironic that she'd confront me instead of her son who abandoned his own wedding. The phone rang again immediately from an unknown number. Thinking it might be leftover wedding vendors, I answered without checking. Vivian. How dare you hang up on my mother? Ethan's familiar rage blasted through the speaker. She's your elder. Where's your basic decency? So he'd been listening during his mother's call. Ian kept pretending to fiddle with his phone, though I knew he was monitoring everything. Not wanting my new husband to think me volatile on our first day of arranged marriage, I forced calmness into my voice. Ethan. I owe her no explanations. Our relationship ended when I broke up with you. As for the wedding chaos, I cancelled all reservations weeks ago. Vendors notified you repeatedly. Your negligence caused this embarrassment. Not mine. And for the record, I added, my manners remain intact. Yours clearly didn't survive our breakup. 8 years together. And I'd never spoken to him like this. Stunned silence filled the line before he finally growled. Fine. Let's table that. What did you mean about being someone else's wife? Exactly what I said. You. His voice rose to a shout. You left our wedding and married some random guy same day? Been cheating on me? Who is he? Even at minimum volume. Ian heard everything. His amused smirk shattered my carefully maintained composure. Ethan kept ranting. Vivian. Answer me. Who's the bastard? He's me. Ian Young. My new husband snatched the phone. His playful demeanor vanishing. The temperature seemed to drop as he coldly stated his name. Ethan's breathing hitched before the line went dead. Ian handed back the phone with raised eyebrows. Vivian. Your taste in men's appalling. That squawking reminded me of Grandpa's prize hen. I snorted despite myself. Now that you mention it. We both knew the unspoken truth lingering between us. The reason Ethan, who had been so cocky moments before, instantly backed down after hearing Ian's words was because the Carter family and the Young family existed in entirely different stratospheres. The Carters had only risen to prominence during Ethan's father's generation, while the Young's business empire had spanned over a century. Last year, I'd accidentally overheard Ethan grumbling. Why does that young punk put on such airs? My own father, an elder, can't even get a meeting scheduled with him for 6 months. Outrageous. No wonder he'd hung up so quickly earlier, he must have realized he'd shown weakness first. Ian. You haven't answered my question yet. His voice snapped me from my thoughts. I did answer. I said there was a resemblance. I replied, walking ahead without turning. Suddenly his hand closed around my wrist. Vivian. You know that's not what I meant. My heart turned to lead in my chest, making breathing difficult. Ethan had never spoken to me like this. How does one respond when faced with such raw vulnerability? After a long pause, I half turned to say, I understand. Ian. I don't love you now. But I'll try to make myself love you. Every word was truth. My capacity for love had been exhausted on Ethan. I couldn't keep falling for different men like some perpetual motion machine. The latter part was equally sincere. Ian would be my life partner. I remembered too well the agony of loveless years. With decades ahead. I refused to condemn us both to that misery. The silence stretched between us until it broke with his resigned sigh. It's all right. Vivian. I'll wait. But, thank you. Relief flooded me. He understood. Married life proved unexpectedly manageable. My greatest fear, constant forced intimacy with Ian, never materialized. He maintained a schedule so packed I sometimes saw paparazzi photos of him more often than the man himself. Though messages from him came incessantly, the lack of face-to-face interaction suited me perfectly. Meanwhile, Father began grooming me to take over the Smith family business. As the sole heiress finally complying with my parents' wishes to return home, I basked in his daily joy. This is wonderful. He'd beam. I can finally retire knowing our legacy's secure. Gradually, my own days filled with responsibilities. One drizzly afternoon, emerging from Father's office, my phone buzzed with Ian's call. Despite his forced cheer, exhaustion bled through. Darling. Has it really been 63 hours? I'm starving for your company. Meet me somewhere? Of course. Send the location. Early on, I'd struggled with his honeyed words. But practice made perfect. These days, responding came effortlessly. It suddenly occurred to me that listening to his words amidst busy work truly alleviated some of the stress and fatigue. How could I let my wife tire herself out? I'm already downstairs. When I walked to the end of the corridor and looked down, sure enough, Ian's car was waiting below. He leaned against the vehicle, smiling as he handed a cigarette to the security guard. This was something I genuinely admired about Ian. He never acted superior to anyone. Within days, the stern security chief at Smith Tower had become his buddy despite not knowing his true identity, granting him unrestricted access to the building. I even had Dad convene a security department meeting over this security breach. But Dad nearly doubled over laughing when he heard about it. That Ian kid has great character. He kept praising. The young family raised him right. Honey? Ian's tentative voice came through the phone when I didn't respond immediately. Coming down now. Smoke less, that guard's barely 20. Don't corrupt the kid. The words shocked me. This was my first time setting boundaries with Ian. Yet it felt completely natural. I immediately regretted it, thinking how Ethan would have taken offense at such remarks. Your wish is my command. Mrs. Young. Ian's cheerful reply quickly eased my anxiety. Being around him really was effortless. At the curb, I noticed a half-crushed cigarette under Ian's shoe. He'd actually listened to my offhand comment. The young guard eagerly retrieved the butt, patting Ian's shoulder in farewell. Wife's orders. Ian tossed him the half-empty pack. You should cut down too. Kiddo. 20's too young for this habit. As he guided me into the car, curiosity got the better of me. What were you two laughing about earlier? His mom's having trouble finding specialists in the city. Helped schedule a doctor's appointment. He told you about his mother's illness? Yep. Also mentioned some girl from your janitorial staff who's been chasing him for 6 months. I burst into laughter just like Dad had days before. I never thought I'd see Ethan again. He always calculated his moves carefully. Surely he'd verified my marriage to Ian and known better than to cross the Young family. Our past meant nothing to him anyway. Yet halfway through dinner at the members-only restaurant Ian had booked entirely, Ethan stumbled and drunk. Vivian. I need you to give me an explanation. I'd never witnessed such an excruciating scene in my life. My trembling hand hovered between dishes with chopsticks before I forced it down. Meeting Ethan's gaze. There's nothing to explain. I found what's behind the hidden door in your study. You betrayed us first. Betrayal? Where's your proof? Did you catch me in bed with someone? Or maybe. His audacity stunned me. Before I could respond, Ian rose and smashed his fist into Ethan's face. Blood gushed from Ethan's nose as Ian growled. Listen here, Ethan. Vivian's my wife now. You think you can waltz in here demanding explanations from Mrs. Young? Check your standing in this city. Nobody talks to me like that. Consider yourself lucky I let you through the door today out of respect for Vivian. Ian continued icily. Push me further. And it won't be you answering for this. It'll be your father. The raw authority in Ian's quiet tone shocked me. Ethan crumpled to the floor, resentment burning through his defeated posture. After agonizing moments, he staggered up. Vivian. I realized too late that I love you. Please. Laughter bubbled unexpectedly from my throat. You disgust me. Ethan. Grabbing Ian's hand, I fled the suffocating atmosphere. Outside, Ian dialed his phone. Time to adjust our dealings with the Carter family enterprises. 2 weeks later, news broke. The Carter empire crumbled under coordinated industry strikes. Their iconic Carter estate seized in bankruptcy liquidation. Ethan's mediocre business skills couldn't salvage his crumbling legacy. His mental state deteriorating rapidly. Luna vanished from the city, their toxic relationship dissolving into nothingness. Ian held my hand tighter in the hospital ultrasound room as the technician smiled. New life pulsed on the monitor, my true rebirth beginning.